Welcome to Encounter Wargaming. I'm Jay, and this is a new series I'm calling Retconned and Redacted. Over the many decades, the Games Workshop has been making its most prominent game systems, namely Warhammer and Warhammer 40,000. There have been times when they've had to drastically change things about the lore. I'm not just talking about forwarding the fluff like they've recently done with the current Primaris paradigm shift, for lack of a better word, but also changing past articles to help adapt the lore to the new image, or perhaps allow for the induction of a new faction, or what have you. Other times, they just simply remove things altogether because they lack appeal for their target market, or simply just don't mesh with the modern lore. In this series, we're going to talk about things of this nature. We will mostly be focused on 40k, but there was some overlap in the past between the universes of Warhammer and 40k, so there'll be some discussion on fantasy lore as well. 40k is the main focus of this playlist, though. Every episode will choose a different aspect of the fluff that's either been retconned or completely redacted, and attempt to cover that subject in as much detail as possible. Unlike my other 40k lore playlists, I'll be reading actual pieces of fluff here, and then talking about them briefly before moving on to the next nugget. Because of this fact, I may be reciting copyrighted material, so I'm going to show the copyrighted text on the screen so that you're aware as a viewer what parts of these vlogs are actual fluff and what parts are simply my opinion or, my clarifications. I've got a lengthy playlist planned out already, but if there are retcon subjects you wish for me to cover, make sure to request them in the comments below. I always read our comments and I do my best to respond to all of them as quickly as I can, so don't be shy. I've been involved in the hobby, specifically 40k, for the largest portion of my life. I got into it almost 25 years ago when I was but a wee lad. It was grade 5 or 6, I fell in love with the universe of 40k. I love the fact that it seemed to not only be a melting pot of sci-fi ideas, but also that it had a sense of humor, which has sadly left the game for the most part, as the grim darkness of the far future has slowly become more grim and dark as time has gone on. I hope you'll all enjoy this series. As I've been compiling information from my other lore playlists, I've come across quite a bit of retconned material, and so I thought it would be fun to share it with y'all in a series of its own. Especially if you're an old Hammer fanatic like myself. I love the old fluff and how it paints an ironic sense of humor on the grim darkness of the far future. That's why I've decided to create this playlist. I want to show the new players that 40k wasn't always this serious. I'd also like to provide a little nostalgia for the old farts like myself that fondly remember their childhood. Finally, I thought it would be fun and educational to see how things have changed over the decades. So sit back and relax, or grab a paintbrush and get your models painted while we dig up and discuss the various aspects of Warhammer lore that Games Workshop felt needed to be either changed or erased. I have a feeling this is going to be the most fun out of all of our lore playlists, both to write and to listen to, I'm sure. Before I go, I just want to say thanks to our patrons on Patreon. Your contributions make this channel possible, and I can't thank you enough for giving back. If you want to join the Encounter Wargaming family, make sure to check out the Patreon campaign linked in the description below. Also, if your regular subscription fee isn't your thing, then make sure to check out our Spreadshirt page, we're also linked in the description below, where you can pick up some merch and help us out with a few bucks. That's all I have to say for now. Let's dig into this playlist. Until our next encounter.
Like a monkey in a rocket on his way back home. Okay.